The principle implies that what occurs in one level is reflected or mirrored in another, and vice versa. In other terms, the macrocosm and the microcosm are interrelated and interdependent. The patterns, laws, and phenomena that govern the higher or more expansive levels of existence also apply to the lower or more limited levels, and vice versa. This concept can be observed in various disciplines, such as in the world of physics, where the behavior of subatomic particles mirrors the structure of celestial bodies. It is also prevalent in spiritual and philosophical systems, where the idea of as above, so below is utilized to understand the connections between the individual and the cosmos, the inner and the outer worlds. Nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. This principle states that nothing in the universe is truly at rest. Everything is in constant motion, and this motion creates vibrations. This idea aligns with modern scientific understanding, where we know that at the atomic and subatomic levels, particles are always in motion. On a macroscopic level, celestial bodies, planets, and even galaxies are in constant motion within the vastness of the cosmos. These vibrations can manifest in various ways, from the movement of particles to the oscillation of waves and the rhythm of energy. Everything, from the tiniest particle to the largest celestial object, is subject to vibration. Understanding the principle of vibration can have implications for how we perceive and interact with the world around us. It teaches us that change is inevitable and everything is in a state of flux. Nothing remains static, and this dynamic nature of existence influences every aspect of our lives. Accept impermanence and recognize that everything is in a constant state of movement and transformation, such as emotions, thoughts, and consciousness itself. Everything is dual. Everything has poles. Everything has its pair of opposites. Like and unlike are the same. Opposites are identical in nature, but different in degree. Extremes meet. All truths are but half-truths. All paradoxes may be reconciled. The statement, everything is dual, implies that every existing thing or concept has its complementary counterpart. This duality can manifest in various forms, such as light and darkness, hot and cold, good and evil, positive and negative, and so on. These pairs of opposites are interrelated and interconnected, forming an inseparable whole. The next part of the statement, like and unlike are the same, suggests that seemingly opposite things share common underlying principles or characteristics. For example, light and darkness are both aspects of the same phenomenon, namely electromagnetic radiation, but they differ in their intensity or absence. The phrase opposites are identical in nature, but different in degree, means that the opposing poles are fundamentally the same in essence, but they vary in their intensity, quality, or degree of manifestation. Extremes can meet or transition into one another, and there is a continuum connecting them rather than an absolute separation. All truths are but half-truths means that any truth we perceive is only part of a greater whole. Our understanding of reality is limited, and can never encompass the entire complexity of existence. Therefore, what we consider true may be incomplete or partial. Finally, the statement, all paradoxes may be reconciled, tells us that apparent contradictions or paradoxes can be resolved when we understand the underlying unity of polarities. In this perspective, contradictions arise due to our limited perception, and by transcending dualistic thinking, we can harmonize seemingly conflicting ideas. Everything flows out and in. Everything has its tides. All things rise and fall. The pendulum swing manifests in everything. The measure of the swing to the right is the measure of the swing to the left. Rhythm compensates. Just like a flowing river, energy and life force are constantly moving and circulating within the cosmos. Nothing remains stagnant. Everything is in a perpetual state of change. Just as the ocean's tides rise and fall, various phenomena in the universe have their ebbs and flows, whether it's emotions, economies, seasons, or celestial movements. From birth to death, from growth to decay, all entities experience cycles of rise and decline. This principle states that no state is permanent, and the only constant is change itself. The back and forth motion is found in all aspects of existence. This pendulum effect is evident in various natural processes, such as the swinging of a pendulum clock or the cyclic behavior of energy between two opposite poles, like night and day, hot and cold, joy and sorrow. The principle explains that the measure of the swing to the right is equivalent to the measure of the swing to the left. This means that the amplitude of the oscillation in one direction is balanced by an equal amplitude in the opposite direction. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction, as described in Newton's third law of motion. The universe seeks equilibrium and balance. When there is an imbalance or extreme in one aspect, the rhythm will naturally adjust to bring about compensation and restore harmony. This can be observed in nature's self-regulating systems, where fluctuations in one area trigger counterbalancing mechanisms to stabilize the overall system. Every cause has its effect. Every effect has its cause. Everything happens according to law. Chance is but a name for law not recognized. There are many planes of causation, but nothing escapes the law. The principle teaches us that nothing happens by chance, that everything has its cause. Nothing comes from nothing, and everything that we see in our world is a result of causes. In Hinduism, this is known as the law of karma. Good intentions and good deeds contribute to good karma and lead to happier rebirths, while bad intentions and bad deeds contribute to bad karma and result in unfavorable rebirths. Most humans go through life being moved around like pawns on a chessboard instead of playing the game of life themselves. The principle of cause and effect teaches us that we can rise above the realm of being others' effects, into becoming beings of causality. The principle of cause and effect is a tool to take back control over one's life. Using the principle of cause and effect in line with the principles of mentalism and vibration, the individual is able to conquer his or her own moods, characteristics, qualities, and power, transforming themselves from a pawn in the game of life into the mover of the pieces on the board. Gender is in everything. Everything has its masculine and feminine principles. Gender manifests on all planes. The masculine energy is described as penetrative, assertive, and actively directing inherent energy towards its counterpart, the feminine energy. It is associated with qualities like progress, conquest, and will. On the other hand, feminine energy is described as receptive, sacred, and nurturing. The feminine conducts the work of generating new thoughts, concepts, ideas, and imagination, building upon the impressions received from the masculine. The interdependence of these energies is crucial. Without the feminine, the masculine would lack restraint, order, or reason, leading to chaos and unbridled action. Without the masculine, the feminine would remain in constant reflection without taking action, resulting in stagnation and complacency. It is through the harmonious interplay of both energies that thoughtful action and the power of will combine with the creative force to bring ideas and visions into manifestation. In the field of psychology, Carl Jung believed that a harmonious integration of the anima, which represents the feminine aspect in the unconscious of a man, and the animus, which represents the masculine aspect in the unconscious of a woman, was crucial for personal growth and psychological balance. This process is known as the unification of the anima and animus, or the individuation process. When an individual recognizes and accepts these unconscious aspects, they become more aware of their own inner world. By understanding your inner world, you will better comprehend your outer world, as above, so below, as below, so above. The wise ones serve on the higher, but rule on the lower. They obey the laws coming from above them, but on their own plane, and those below them, they rule and give orders, and yet, in so doing, they form a part of the principle, instead of opposing it. The wise man falls in with the law, and by understanding its movements, he operates it instead of being its blind slave.
Illumination that Hermes himself had experienced. Hermes Trismegistus is the author of the famed Emerald Tablet, which is the source of the most well-known Hermetic dictum, as above, so below, the key to astrology, alchemy, and other occult sciences. The Emerald Tablet has a history as mysterious as its authors. If we call Hermes a myth, we thereby recognize that he is greater and more significant than any one historical figure, for he represents a perennial pattern of the human condition. Hermes is a person without crystallized personality, an archetype that perhaps represents all truth seekers, or the truth seeker. Certainly, he experiences that which all truth seekers hope to experience. The Neoplatonic sage Iamblichus writes, Hermes, the deity who presides over rational discourses, has long and rightly been considered common to all who practice the sacred arts. He who presides over true science concerning gods is one and the same throughout the universe. It is to him that our ancestors dedicated the discoveries of their wisdom, attributing all their own writings to Hermes. Many authors wrote under the name of Hermes, as this was logical for devotees of Hermes. True wisdom and learning merited ascription to the Lord of all learning. According to the Egyptian priest and historian Manetho, there were over 36,000 books written under the pseudonym of Hermes Trismegistus, which would easily fill the shelves of a large temple library. There are existing treatises on the origin and nature of the soul, the principles of creation, astrology, alchemy, magic, healing, and much more. However, most of these are lost, but from scattered references we can assume that many more Hermetic works existed than we have copies of today. The origin of the epithet, thrice great, is believed to have come from the Ibis shrine in Saqqara, Egypt. Records there of a meeting of the Ibis called in 172 BC mention the name Megistor, Kai Megistor, Theomegalu, Hermu, the greatest and the greatest god, Great Hermes. The epithet, thrice great, thus reflects the intensifying repetition of the Egyptian adjective. He is also known as thrice greatest on account of being the greatest priest, philosopher, and king. Another explanation of the epithet was on account of his praise of the Trinity, saying that there is only one divine nature in the Trinity. In the 15th century, Italian humanist scholars Marsilio Ficino and Ludovico Lacerelli played a key role in translating the corpus. Ficino, who had been working on translating the collected works of the divine Plato for his patron Cosimo de' Medici, immediately interrupted his work when a manuscript of the Corpus Hermeticum became available. These had previously been compiled by the 11th century Byzantine scholar Michael Psellus, who had no interest in pagan practices. The only reason he would have copied the texts would be to improve them so as to make them more compatible with Christian beliefs, purging the tracts of suspicious occult elements. Thus, the writings that reached Marsilio were more than likely not originally collected in the way he received them. The corpus was thought to have been lost to the West since late antiquity and the beginning of the Dark Ages. However, while cities fell and empires crumbled, the fragile pages of the Corpus Hermeticum miraculously survived, testament to how the mind, that insubstantial mystery, can withstand the harshest blows of the material world. The Hermetic quest took place within, in the interior world, that was true, but it traveled roads in the outer world as well. The idea of a divine wisdom revealed only to the most ancient of sages was developed in the Renaissance into the notion of a Prisca Theologia, or ancient theology, the perennial notion which asserted that a single true theology exists in all religions, and that it was given by God to man in antiquity. Many thinkers of the traditionalist or perennialist school of the 20th and 21st century followed this idea and spoke of a perennial wisdom, based on the belief that ages ago mankind received an original and once and for all divine revelation. This was subsequently lost, although traces of it lay